Welcome to another pixelforlife.com video tutorial. My name is Shannon, and today we're going to create another photo manipulation. This one, not a specific title yet, but basically I have these two images. One's of this cool warrior and the cave here, and we're actually going to place the guy in here, do some cool effects to it, and maybe even go a little sci-fi on it. We'll see how it ends up, but this is going to be a great lesson. Maybe split it up into two. We'll see how long it goes. But let's just dive right into it, guys. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and take this image and I want to put some adjustment layers on it. So I'm going to go to my hue and saturation, and I want to lower my saturation to about -35. That way I still have some color, but it's very faded out looking. Once I've done that, I'm going to go back to layer 2, and I'm going to do another one of these adjustment layers. I'm sorry, I had a blank there. And I'm going to go to the photo filter. And from here, I can actually choose sepia, and I want to really up that in this image. So about like that. So it really brings out the mountains up here at the top. So looking pretty good. And we'll preserve the luminosity. All right. And the reason I'm doing adjustment layers is so that later on we can go back and readjust those again. So with that, let's go ahead and drag this guy here up to the front. Let's go ahead and make him a little bit smaller. Kind of place him where we're going to want him. And I'm thinking that if we place him right here, it's going to look pretty good. And we'll make him a little bit smaller. Maybe a little bit bigger. We'll make him a little bit bigger here. Alright, now I need to select this guy out. Now, generally you would go ahead and you would select this guy out, and it would take you, quite a bit of time to do. But we're going to use the magic wand tool here and just put it on 1. And we're just going to make this selection here. I'm sorry, 100. And let's put this at 50 because we don't want to select anything in any of these inside things here. So alright, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and zoom into the selection here so I can kind of see how clean it is. And that's actually not too bad. Not too bad at all. So we'll stick with that. And we'll just hit the delete key, hit Control D. So now our character is placed here on the screen. Now you'll see here that you have to decide where we want to place him at exactly, but I kind of like this position here. Now from there, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to this background layer here, and we're going to go to the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to take this ground here, copy it, go back to this layer and paste it in there. Now what that's going to allow me to do is I can actually adjust this like so, and go to the eraser tool, and I just want to kind of delete it off of the edges, but I want his feet to kind of be covered a little bit. And you can see there the difference is it just looks as if he's actually part of the image a little bit more. Another thing that we can do is we can go to this background layer, and we can use our burn tool here, make our size smaller, and we can actually burn the ground here where he's actually stepping to make it look as if he's actually stepping on the ground. Now I want to go ahead and grab this selection here. I'm going to create a new layer behind him, and I'm just going to fill that with black. And I'm then going to hit Control T, hold down the key here, and just kind of adjust this. And this is going to be the shadow of this character. And you can see the shadow. And first of all, let's go ahead and just delete this for right now. We'll come back and do that later. Go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And we're going to want to kind of blur this out a little bit more like that, and then we're going to lower that opacity down, so about like that, and that looks pretty sweet. Now the actual character himself, we want to put some adjustment layers on there. We're going to go to the hue saturation. We're going to drop that saturation down quite a bit, and we're also going to make it darker. And actually, you know what? And that's adjusting the whole image. Why is it doing that? Let's just do it on the image adjustments and the hue and saturation. There we go. That way it's just the guy. And we're going to darken that a little bit. Kind of like that. Now I'm going to go to image, shadow, and highlights. I'm not really going to do too much with the shadows, but the highlights, I want to kind of flatten those out a little bit, make them a little bit darker, like so. And once I've done that, I can then use my dodge and burn tools, and I can actually, what I want to do is I want to lighten everything that does not currently have a good shadow on it. So this entire jacket uniform thing, whatever you want to call it. His face, obviously, definitely his hands, and the top of his feet. And then I'm going to want to grab my burn tool and do the exact same thing, only with the darker areas, so that I can actually burn those a little bit more. Really make it pop and stand out like that, and that looks a lot better. So from there, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put some cool smoky stuff behind and over this character, this guy. And so let's go ahead, and you see here we have some cool brushes here. Let's go with this one, and I have it set on black, and that's cool. And I just want to kind of fill this with black behind it, and just kind of go up with it like this. I'm going to put that behind him. We're going to go to filter, blur, motion blur, up and down, really stretch that out, and then I'm going to go in here to my adjustment layers, and what I want to do is kind of invert that with Control I, go to the fill, lower the fill on that, and then we'll go and use our eraser tool and just kind of erase all of the harder edges that are on this thing. And definitely from off of his feet, we don't want him on there, and we'll get rid of it from back there as well. So it just kind of looks like he's sitting there and in glow. Alright, and that actually looks pretty good. Now this guy over here, I got to do something with him because he's starting to bother me. So I'm going to come over here to my healing brush tool, and I'm just going to paint in this guy here. And just kind of continue going on and painting it in. Yeah, that looks pretty good there. And you never know he was even there. So that looks pretty good. Alright, now I want to go to a new layer, and I want to go ahead and start dropping some color in on this. And I'm going to go ahead and start with something like this. We're going to go ahead and use our gradient tool here. And make sure that one there is set. And then we're just going to go to color to kind of give it that nice hazing glow effect. I'm then going to use my paintbrush using yellow, grab a regular brush like so, and kind of paint some yellow in there, maybe a little bit of this other color as well, and just kind of make this kind of a rainbow color. And I want to drop that opacity down too, because I don't want it to be super strong. Alright, and then I'm going to use my eraser tool, and I want to erase it off of the guy again like that, and that's starting to look pretty cool. Alright, and with that, I want to go ahead and add some grunge to the entire top of this image. Now, I have some grunge brushes that I'm going to load in here. But actually, if you load the Fox brushes, by default, they have some pretty cool stuff already built right into Photoshop. And I'm going to make sure that's like that. And about like that. do some adjustment layers on that. And puts that soft light. And now I want to actually get some actual grunge textures that we can place on this. So typing in grunge textures into Google Images. You can see here there's some very cool ones. I actually like this one here a lot. Kind of make it look like an old photo effect. So I'm going to grab this one real quick. And copy that. Paste that here. Like that. And then you can just go to Overlay. And try different stuff out. And linear dodge actually looks pretty cool. We'll go screen. Screen looks the best to me. And then we'll go to View Actual Pixels. And you can see here that by adding those few little things, it actually really turns out really well. So there's just a couple of little things I want to do. Right here in his hand, I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. And right here in his hand, I want to go ahead and reset my brushes. And I want to select white, and I just want to paint. Gotta up that opacity. I want to paint a nice bright white ball into his hand. And then I'm going to use an even smaller brush, probably about 4 pixels or whatever. Do some streaks off of that ball. Like that. And then from there, what I want to do is I want to grab my pen tool, and I want to start right here in the middle of it. Kind of curve out and around. And just kind of continue that flow of the path all the way around like that. Now from there, I'm going to create a new layer, go back to my brush, make sure that that's on a hard brush of 1 pixel, go back to my pen tool, go to stroke path, simulate pressure on brush, and hit OK. I'll then delete the path, and you'll see here I now have this cool thing going around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an outer glow on that, and I'm going to change that color to cool aquish blue color. And I'm going to up the size to about 2 and the spread, not too much, just a little bit, about 4. Hit OK. Copy that layer style, paste it onto the ball. Go back to actual pixels, and you can see there now it's got this cool effect though. All we have to do now is on this layer here is using our eraser tool, make sure we have 100% hardness, and it comes around here and it goes over him, and then it comes back over here, and this should be going under him like this. And actually, you know what? Let's undo that. Let's go under him here, and then over him there, and that looks a lot more realistic that way. So actual pixels, zoom out. Now from there, we want to go ahead and adjust this outer glow. We want to make this a little bit more impressive. So there we go. That looks a lot better. Copy that layer style and paste that layer style there. That looks a lot better there. And with that, we'll call this one pretty much done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick photo manipulation lesson, and we'll see you soon. Be sure to subscribe and hit that like button.